Maloelele, talo falava, bulavanaka, and welcome to the inaugural Heritage Hockey Tournament coming to you live from Papatoetoe in Auckland. My name is Brad Pittman and I will be here to take you through all the action from the final game of the day, which sees the New Zealand Maori Wahine taking on the New Zealand Development Women. Both teams were first day winners yesterday, and though ended their games in draws, both managed to win in penalty shootouts, which means this game is going to be a close one. I'm joined on the call today by Manu Gray, long-time hockey supporter and member of Southern Districts Hockey Club and Tamaki Makaurau Hockey. Now, the New Zealand development team will be disappointed that they weren't able to convert possession into points yesterday and probably take the game before it got to a penalty shootout. And equally so, the New Zealand Maori women's team, who similarly had a lot of possession but weren't able to consolidate that for points. So both teams will want to start fast and will want to be clinical in front of the goal. Two very different styles of play. The New Zealand Development Women will want to play fast. They're a younger team. They will want to play quick and go at the Maori team. But opposite there is some experience in this New Zealand Maori women's team and some older players who can control the game, and Tash Brill and Oriwa Hepi and Claudia Hannum, who we've got out there today. So it will really come down to which team has prepared them best. Is it going to be the fit and fast, or is it going to be the experienced team of the New Zealand Maori women? Now, Manu, you've spent a long time around Maori hockey, especially here in Tamaki Makaurau. What do you expect to see from some of these experienced players in the New Zealand Maori women's team?
I think with the New Zealand Maori team, I think they might hold the ball a little bit more. I think, as you mentioned, I think the young ones are going to be quick and fast. For these older ladies, I think the knowledge and the experience, I think moving the ball around and keeping it away from those younger ones, I think Tina's put them probably in a good stead that's what they will do on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as we look at the lineup here for the Hockey New Zealand development team, just a couple of players of note. Leah Hodges, who will play as a central defender for the New Zealand team. She picked up player of the day yesterday and has been clinical around the back. And the other one for them is Brittany Wang, an aggressive player going forward. She's played some NHL for Canterbury and she will be exciting playing there at right midfield, number 18 for the team. As we kick off, the New Zealand development team will start with the ball. And they play back to, as mentioned, Leah Hodges. And out through Maddie Fleming. For those watching at home through skysportnext and the FIH app through Local Gecko, the New Zealand Maori team playing in the black and the New Zealand Development team playing in white. The game is being umpired by Alicia Unker and Bronwyn Robbins. Awesome to have Alicia out here. She is, of course, an FIH international umpire. As we see the New Zealand women's team start with a high press against the development team. Effective here as Grayson Keys-Kumiroa comes away with the ball. But it is turned over and cleaned up by Eva Zylstra. And out there to Madeline Fleming. I think you're right, Manu. What's going to be important to see here is the connections between Tash Brill at the back, Claudia Hannum, who has arrived for the tournament today, playing at centre midfielder at the moment, and Oriwa Hepi, who leads the striker unit, and just the experience those three players have, both at this level and at international level, in controlling the speed and pace of the game. I don't think this New Zealand Maori team are going to want to get into the sprint race that the New Zealand development team want to play in. So it's going to be really important to see those girls control the pace of play here, as New Zealand development do work out through Leah Hodges, but it only gets as far as Oriwa Hepi, who I think was fantastic yesterday. In her pursuit of scoring goals, and she will meet her match today in goal with the New Zealand development team as Ginny Wilson, who's a very experienced goalkeeper, has played games for New Zealand and multiple NHL campaigns for the Southern Women. So look to see a good battle between Oriwa, the striker, and Ginny, the goalkeeper, as the New Zealand development team break out there. Played forward and unfortunately Tash Brill there with a body check on the New Zealand development player does bring against the attacking penalty corner, and they'll be disappointed that, like I said, they got turned around quickly and the ball moved from one end to the other extremely fast, and something they're going to want to cut down as much as possible. Now, for those of you who joined us in the game yesterday with the New Zealand Maori women, will have noticed that they were wearing black armbands, and unfortunately Kiriana Whiteowl Hunter, who was with the team yesterday, has had to fly back down to Gisborne after the passing of her koro, who the black armbands were for yesterday. So we likely won't see Kiriana back for the tournament, unfortunately, as the New Zealand development team have their first penalty corner. Yeah, it's well finished there. It's not the first shot Leah Hodges would have liked. It did bounce through a little bit, and Brody did clean up as we look on the One Foundation replay here. The penalty corner does come out to Leah Hodges at the first bracket. And after a first save and second save, just can't get it out past Brittany Wang there, who does finish the goal for the New Zealand development side. One of the players I mentioned in the earlier build-up, and she puts them up 1-0.
I think it's just the patience in the girls' team right now with the New Zealand Maori team. They've got to be patient with the ball and not force the ball through the middle. Let's work it around the back, I hope.
Yeah, you can see here Nahui Amuru putting a bit of pressure on Maddie Fleming and as well as Marika Thomas there. Good defensive work back on this New Zealand development team. But you're right, Manu, we just saw there, I think even Tash Brill just forcing the ball a little bit. It's early in the match, get the passes flowing, make sure that everyone's getting touch on the ball, and we keep the game short before we really start to push long.
Absolutely. I think also that they're a little bit wary of the water patches on the corners as well, so hence why they're going a little bit down the middle, I think. It's a matter of working it around those puddles if they can.
Yeah, absolutely. For those of you joining us and maybe can't see some of that on the broadcast, though it's pretty obvious there, we do have a bit of surface water on the pitch, and it does affect the way the ball moves. And it's a cracking strike there by Tash Brill. And is turned over there, so the New Zealand Māori Wahine team will come forward with possession. Yeah, you're right, there are those surface patches of water, and it will affect where each team want to play. It's difficult to dribble and pass the ball through those patches, so look for both teams as Claudia Hannum does break through the middle and just rolls the ball onto the foot there of Eva Zylstra. It's Tiana Curry on the ball there for the New Zealand Māori team. Just trying to put a little bit of work on Francesca Williamson. Little obstruction, unfortunately, there between Grayson Keys-Kumiroa and Nahui Amuru. Yeah, that little passage of play there will be really disappointing to Tina Balkake. It looks like they've set up in a full press, but their strikers and midfielders just not connecting there, and the New Zealand development team able to make a 1-2 transfer through their centre midfielder with relative ease, which has turned this New Zealand Māori team around pretty quickly. If they're going to put a full press on like that, I expect Tina will be, commanding her troops to do it together and make sure they're all on the same page, because you can't allow a fit and fast young team like this New Zealand development to pick you apart like that if you are full pressing.
Absolutely. I think the midfield also, as you say, they need to come in a little bit more and shut that down. I think, as you said, Tina will not be very impressed with that sort of thing. So I think in the quarter she'll be having a good old kōrero with them, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And the New Zealand Māori team are very fortunate to have somebody like Tina Balkake coaching them, a legend of hockey in New Zealand, equally New Zealand Māori hockey. It's awesome to have her expertise. Obviously played over 100 games for New Zealand and probably one of the greatest women's player our country has ever seen. So to have her expertise there, expect that she will set some pretty high standards for these players, and little mistakes like that she won't let slide, as the New Zealand development team just happy to play with possession. We do see an intercept attempt there from Anahita Hudson, but we do see Jamie Eads coming forward with the ball for New Zealand development. And it is tidied up momentarily at the back there by Tyler Goodsall-Matthews. Umpire Bronwyn Robbins down the end there just allowing play to continue. Didn't see anything that warranted a free hit, so allowed the play to keep going as the New Zealand development team just swing the ball around the back through Leah Hodges. She found Shanae Taylor just presenting herself back in the midfield. And that's Madeline Fleming, who just as the ball hit her in the body up off the stick of Nahui Amuru there to earn a free hit. And that's the goal scorer, Brittany Wang, just working the baseline and doing a fantastic job at rolling the ball onto the foot of the defender there. So Brittany will earn her team another penalty corner. Remember, they scored from the first one, though it wasn't the tidiest of execution. I'm sure Coach Lincoln Churchill will expect a little bit better off the top for the New Zealand development team. And equally, Tina Balkake will be ensuring that Brodie Cochrane in goal for the New Zealand Maori woman takes control of this goal here, and they keep it out as to not go down an extra goal. Looks like we've got Leah Hodges off bracket 1 and Brittany Wang at 2. He goes to Leah Hodges there, but just sprayed, and there's an opportunity here for a counter-attack as Tyler Goodsell-Matthew rolls the ball forward through Anahita Hudson, who is eyeing up Uriwa Hepi in the circle, but she goes from shot taker to shot saver as Leah Hodges gets all the way back from the opposite circle to break down that attacking opportunity there. We'll have a couple of resets there as Alicia Anka not happy with where the free hit's being taken from.
Oh.
As we see Francesca Williamson just try and work the ball out. Loses control. Remember, she was a double goal scorer yesterday. Both these teams coming off shootout wins in yesterday's games and grabbing themselves some important competition points. As we see Anahita Hudson again on the right-hand side. Sorry, that is Ruby Meehan. Just unable to link up with Nahui Amuru. Yeah, New Zealand development just happy to inch their way up the field at the moment. Goalkeeper Jenny Wilson hasn't been called on as yet, but you can see her very vocal on the field here. Manu, you can see how important the communication skills are from Jenny, the goalkeeper here. She's very vocal, got her lid up and talking to her troops. You know, what sort of influence does a vocal and good communicating goalkeeper have on a team?
Well, I think also is that she gives guidance from the back. When you're at the back and in the centre there, you can see a hell of a lot, for your players in front of you and where they should be. So, it's good to have a vocal goalkeeper at the back there.
Yeah, absolutely, and she's a real key communicator for this side. Like I said earlier, her experience will be vital in this team. She's the oldest in the side and does have some NHL campaigns under her belt, so it's an extra set of eyes here for Coach Lincoln Churchill. It just helps the girls direct them around the park. You can very clearly hear from where we're sitting her giving direction, telling players who's open, who's on, which attackers are coming at them, and it just instills a good confidence as a middle defender when you can hear your goalkeeper has your back and behind you.
Absolutely. I think the other key point is that she's been in the team talk at the beginning, so she knows what the team drill is and the team plan. So having a keeper that understands all of that is critical for a team.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just saw a nice little defensive back tackle from Nahui Amuru there on the New Zealand development team as Tash Brill eyes up. Her attackers going forward, just unable to link up with Uriwa Hepi, who I believe was the intended target. As we see come onto the field now, Kelsey Kennedy, originally from Gisborne, has moved up and living in Hamilton at the moment. Also new onto the field, Isabella Ambrosius, who I think was excellent yesterday and plays her hockey down in Christchurch and for Te Waipounamu. She'll go and put some pressure out on the New Zealand development team, and they win the ball back. So a little bit of a back and forth game at the moment. New Zealand development up 1-0, but a lot of this hockey has been played between the 25-yard lines, and besides the two attacking corners, neither team really spending periods of play of dominance. So
I think they just got to shorten it up, the Wahine Mā. I think they need to shorten it up. I think they're looking for the Hail Mary pass up the field, as we talked about before. If they can shorten it up and get around these youngs, 1-2s around them, they should be able to get forward. But at the moment, the development are doing that themselves, is doing the 1-2 passes. So the New Zealand Wahine, they just need to shut that down and start doing it themselves.
Yeah, you're right. Considering they're a team we touted as having, a lot of speed and a lot of skill, I've been impressed with the way they're linking passes together, and probably in a fashion that we expected the Maori women to do more of. It's interesting to see here that the team that is passing the ball and keeping those periods of possession and keeping it short, getting touches on the stick, are creating the opportunities. So as we see Tash Brill outlet the ball here, I'd like to see her midfielders get a little bit closer. You can see there both Claudia Hannum, her midfielder, and Grayson Keys Kumiro, although it does come through and almost to fruition here, though cleaned up by Leah Hodges. I'd like to see her midfielders just a little bit closer, offering a little in and out ball to entice the midfield of the New Zealand development team to narrow up and shrink in, and then we can maybe look at the next second phase expansive pass or a little overhead, which I do know Tash has, but at the moment it seems we're just forcing it as the first option.
I think also they need to lead and re-lead. They're all just sort of a little bit static in the sense that they're all just playing their own positions, and if they can re-lead, then they will open up the game a little bit more too, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something I spoke about in the first game of the day, where we saw both the Indian men's side and the Pacifica men's side very good at playing fluid in their positions. You're not getting caught that, hey, I'm the left midfielder and get off my side. Just being able to play into positions, lead, don't get the ball, re-lead, don't get the ball, lead again. I found myself in a different position, but we're filling spots, and that's our roles as hockey players. So you're right, it's not solely put on the person with the ball. Everybody off the ball has to make those decisions easy for the ball carrier.
There's our overhead that you're looking for.
Yeah, it was the over. It didn't probably quite get as far as clearing the traffic, unfortunately, for Tash. But it is a skill that she does possess, and she's played for a long time at the highest international level, and certainly has those skill sets. As we see the New Zealand development team through Brittany Wang, just unable to get past the tackle of Anahita Hudson, who does play the ball forward. And gets the ball back again from Leah Arthur-Warsop. Finds Marika Thomas in the middle of the field.
Hard luck.
Yeah, that's the passing we were talking about,
Yes.
Manu. We broke out through the left, we turned around, we found Marika in the middle of the field, and we did try and string those passes together, and it looked good. Unfortunately, throwing a little bit ahead of Nahui Amuru out there for the New Zealand Maori team, but the idea, I think, was right.
Yeah, definitely. I think yesterday's game, the Wahine team yesterday played really good passing game yesterday, and I think just a little bit of panic there sometimes, I think, with them.
Yeah, and no discredit at all to this New Zealand development team. When you're fit and fast like they are, it's easy to put pressure on players and stay in tackles, and so there probably is some pressure out there from this New Zealand development side as they put on the ball carrier, but I think the intent has to be to try and shorten things up and keep periods of possession, involve both sides of the field, and really move the ball around to earn the right to go forward. Yeah, as we see a little relieving free hit there for the New Zealand development woman.
Yeah, she'll run the time. You've only got 17 seconds to go. So
yep, this might be the last little shot here for the New Zealand Māori women. The crowd are getting vocal and behind the Māori team, as they do have probably under 10 seconds here before the end of the game. As we see Leah Hodges give away the free hit. She'll be fine to give it away as we bring the end to the first quarter, and Alicia Unker blows quarter time now. First 17 minutes are in the books. The New Zealand development team are up 1-0 through a good finish there from Brittany Wang. The Māori team, as we've discussed, probably looking a little too long and a little too opportunistic for the first quarter. And Manu, I think we both agree that we want to see them shorten things up and just get periods of possession and hold the ball for a little bit longer and ask questions of this New Zealand development team and their ability to defend. What do you think is being said in that in that quarter break there by Coach Tina Balkake?
Well, exactly what we just said. I think she'll probably be letting them know that they need to shorten it up and don't panic going forward. You know, if there's no option going forward, hey, let's go back and let's work ourselves back up the other side. Keep the width of the field now that the water patches are starting to disappear. I think also we probably need to look for more of a high person at the front. As we say, a lot of the players are just hanging in their lines. We probably need to get someone coming right up high on the left-hand side or the right-hand side to get the high player up there, and there's your pinpoint player. So hopefully that's what she's saying.
Yeah. It's it would always be interesting to be in one of those talks, especially with somebody like Tina when you're behind on the scoreboard. I'm sure she gives a riveting quarter time speech, but at the moment it's still that arm wrestle phase of the game. I don't think either team, despite the New Zealand development team getting a goal, I don't think either team really gained the full grip on the game. I don't think either of them really settled into their work yet, and so we are still in that little back and forth battle. But it will be interesting to see as the game progresses and potentially fatigue becomes a factor, with these teams having played a game yesterday, what impact that may have, likely positively for the New Zealand development side, being the younger and fitter side. So it's going to take a lot of control here from this New Zealand Maori Wahine team to ensure that those effects aren't, found out on the scoreboard. Yeah,
and that's when the experience pops in, hopefully. So let's just see how it rolls in the next quarter with the teams.
Yeah, good little bit of pressure there initially from the New Zealand Maori team. The New Zealand development will keep possession through Madeline Fleming. Yeah, and there's a little unforced error just by putting a bit of extra pressure on. And here's this high player you like to see, Manu.
Yeah,
New Zealand Maori team.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can just see it creates a bit more depth between the midfield and the defensive group for the Hockey New Zealand development side, and those are holes you can pick apart when you do move the ball. There's a great pass goes out to Claudia Hannum on the right-hand side, but she's picked apart, I believe, by Mila Eads. That one just gets out in front of Francesca Williamson as they try and link up going forward, but yeah, just having this extra bit of height, you can see the distance between the centre midfielder. That's unfortunate there by Tash, who has just given the ball back to Maddie Harris, who finds Mila Eads and is cleaned up there by Tiana Curry. Yeah, Tash Brill, nice and vocal on the park there for anyone that's played with, against, or in any of the three neighbouring cities near where Tash Brill plays. You can probably hear her on the hockey field 9 times out of 10. She's very vocal there and commanding what she expects of her troops around the back. And Kelsey Kennedy just losing her footing there, and it almost results into something
foot right there
through Leah Arthur-Worsop, but it does bring a penalty corner, and Kelsey Kennedy did excellently well there, despite losing her footing on the entry, to maintain position inside the circle, as we see on the One Foundation here. The overhead option I talked about earlier that Tash Brill does possess, and finds Kelsey Kennedy coming forward for the New Zealand Maori team. Leah Hodges there, Leah Arthur-Worsop getting the shot on goal, and it did just bounce back onto the foot there of her defender as Tash Brill comes up to inject for the New Zealand Maori women's team. We have the penalty corner here. Looks like Claudia Hannum set up at the first bracket, who is a drag flick exponent. Good solid save there in goal by that's Kelly Carline, who has come in for the New Zealand development team. We spoke about Ginny Wilson a little bit earlier. They have had a quarter time switch, so Kelly is in goal for them, and it's a good foot save off the drag flick of Claudia Hannum. Now, New Zealand Māori women find themselves up the right end of the field, and it's a great entry pass from Anahita Hudson. Just unable to find Marika Thomas there, who wasn't a good spot around the goal. Nice and low, just unable to get her stick to the ball. As New Zealand development women come forward through Emily Logan and Maddie Fleming Two girls from Tauranga who have played their rep hockey together through the Tauranga age group system, as Francesca Williamson earns herself a free hit. And again, we hear Tash Brill just giving umpire Bronwyn Robbins some ideas to think about. Advice, we may say. Letting her know what she thinks of the price of fish. And that shot does go across the front of the goal. Brodie Cochrane looked to have it well covered. And Tash Brill will have possession coming out of the back for the New Zealand Maori team. Score is still 1-0 to the New Zealand development woman. Early goal to Brittany Wang off a follow-up from a penalty corner. For those of you joining us from Sky Sport Next and on the FIH app, welcome. We are here live on the second day of the inaugural New Zealand Heritage Hockey Tournament at Papatoetoe in Auckland, as the New Zealand development women take on the New Zealand Maori women in the final match of the day. We've got Tash Brill, ex-Blackstick, in possession with the ball. Looks long, and she does find Isabella Ambrosius, who is a fantastic player. Very unfortunate for the Maori Wahine team there. I'm pretty sure Isabella Ambrosius has reversed it cross, may have struck the foot of one of the New Zealand development defenders, though neither Alicia Anka nor Bronwyn Robbins, the umpires, are willing to make that call. And New Zealand development are out and running through Francesca Williamson and Brittany Wang. Brittany Wang with a tidy inside drag. They string passes together going forward, the New Zealand development team, but it is all cut up by Tash Brill, who comes forward looking for her options going forward and finds Grayson Keys Kumiro, but cannot bring it under control under the pressure of Brittany Wang. As we see the New Zealand development team just happy to roll the ball out the back. That's Rosie Bedford on the ball. She plays the ball back to her centre defender. That's that little midfield pass we were speaking about, Manu. You know, you see Shanae Taylor there for the New Zealand development woman, just slotting herself into a little inside forward channel and offering a nice close option just to go in and out. Doesn't have to be anything complicated, but just shortens the game up for them. As we see Marika Thomas come forward with the ball here. She gets an entry pass, but it is cleaned up well by Shanae Taylor.
Yeah, she probably just need to pull that back a little bit and just be patient. As I say, we're all diving all over the place to try and get the pass in. If you just hold it up and then make the pass.
Yeah, often we've got a little bit more time than we think. If we just pull the ball back into stance and assess what's happening, as Isabella Ambrosius goes for the foot of Rosie Bedford, can't find it. And Eva Zulsha's only able to clear as far as the sideline.
It's easy for us to say that when we're sitting here inside the tent, that all the bits and pieces. But when you're out on the field, it's pretty hard. When you're out there doing the stuff. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a conversation I had earlier in the call with one of the guests who we never make mistakes in here. We're professional hockey players as we sit up here in the commentary box, and I'm sure neither of us will ever admit to having made a mistake on the hockey field. So.
Absolutely, buddy.
We can speak as experts here. We're among company. So as we just see the New Zealand development team break out through Brittany Wang again, she's been all over the field so far, unable to chase it down up the front there for the New Zealand development women's side.
Yeah, she's doing a ton of work, old Brittany Wang. She's covering all over the field for her team and giving the passes out. So the outlet passes are fantastic, and they're using the width really well on the field. So. And they're running off each other. The combinations are exceptional.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a few of these girls that have played for different regional programs together. There's a group of Midlands girls here. I know there's a group of Canterbury girls here who have played a bit of hockey together. So it's obvious to see some of those connections, and I'm sure Coach Lincoln Churchill will be happy to see those kind of players playing together, as we see a pretty ugly shoulder contest there. And umpire Alicia Anka pretty keen to stamp that out of the game as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, the New Zealand Maori team just give the ball straight back.
Yeah.
But the New Zealand development will be without a player for 2 more minutes. And there is that Brittany Wang again. We speak about her speed and her skill, though she is cleaned up there well by Claudia Hannum, one of the more experienced players in this New Zealand Māori women's team.
Yeah, the Māori girls need to be in front of the development players. The ball's coming through from the back. The defence is doing hard yards at the back, and the forwards, they need to actually come forward, receive the ball in front of the development players. At the moment, they're sort of hanging back and waiting for the pass, so they need to sort of quicken up on that little wee thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Little things you're taught right from school hockey. Come to the ball, meet the ball. You don't allow your defender just to stand in front. And again, it may be signs of fatigue. It may be signs of this New Zealand development team just being extremely fit and fast. But they do have to earn the right to come forward. And as you see, Isabella Ambrosius here really work for the ball. She is under the attention of Madeline Fleming,
Yes.
And Maddie Harris here. So not the easiest thing to outrun this New Zealand development team. So the passing is going to have to keep happening, because at the moment you're not going to outrun this team.
Yeah.
You're only going to outpass them. So
If you're running back and receiving the ball, you can always still go backwards.
Yep.
You go backwards, you reopen it again for the width and everything. So, if you can't go forward, go back.
Yep. As we see Leah Hodges just take that option there. Didn't have probably the eyes to go forward, so just rolled it back into Rosie Bedford and opened up the other part of the field. So you see a little bit of a collision there, but Shanae Taylor comes forward with the ball for the New Zealand development. She finds yesterday's goal scorer Francesca Williamson. And unfortunately, umpire Bronwyn Robbins down there not impressed at all by the tackling efforts of Claudia Hannum. Both Claudia and Tash really less than impressed with Bronwyn's decision, but she is in Team Pink and her decision is final, and unfortunately the New Zealand Māori women's team are just going to have to get in and defend the penalty corner.
Yeah, you can never argue with the umpires, that's for sure. Otherwise you end up sitting on the seat on the side with the pink team, so it's best just to get on with it, and better hockey players, you become better hockey player if you can ride out the referee.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen countless times where you lose the advantage you may have had because you stood there and talked to the umpire, not specifically in this situation, but up and down the field as the New Zealand development women set up for their corner. It's a bit of a misdrag. They have made something of it. First save by Brodie Cochrane. And it is up off the New Zealand development side, so the Māori women's team will earn the reprieve. Unfortunate error, does hand the ball back pretty quickly. This game's just got a little bit scrappy over the last couple of minutes as we go into the later part of the second quarter. I think both teams probably are a little frustrated with not being able to convert some of their periods of possession into shots on goal or attacking goal-scoring opportunities and just pushing things a little bit more than both of their coaches would expect. It has just got a little bit scrappy, so I hope the messaging is coming out just to tidy things up, keep those periods of possession, and get too loose on the ball and make sure you cherish when you do have it. That's a nice little receive there. But well tackled by Grayson Keys-Kumiroa. She's a good long defender playing up in the midfield today, probably in the absence of some of the other players who are missing, but gets around the park really well and has a good reach for tackling. As you see, the Māori woman earn a free hit through Tyler Goodsall-Matthews. And as you've asked for before here, Manu, we've got another high striker for this Māori women's team.
So you're dragging out the defence, you're stretching them out a little bit, which gives them the option of the midfielders to actually come through and actually run into the spaces that they've created. As we talked about with the midfielders, they need to be giving more options to the defence for the pass out. So hopefully when you pull them out, you give them those options and those spaces. Yeah,
absolutely. It's always hard to find your midfield when there are 10, 11, 12 players packed into a midfield, from both sides. So just pulling these strikers out, asks questions of these defenders, pulls them a little deeper and isolates a little bit more of a one-on-one situation like we have here with Grayson Keys-Kumiroa. Just unable to pull it down as Leah Hodges does clean up. And we'll look to target. Yeah, there's her midfielder and Mila Eads. Jamie Eads, apologies. Good step back shot from Francesca Williamson, and it has rolled onto the foot there of one of the New Zealand Maori women's team. Chelsea Heppy down there, just unable to get the ball away.
Well, let's see what these the development team can do this time with their penalty PC. You know, they've been had options. The left-hand side was pretty open in the last PC, so we'll see what they can do with the injection maybe.
You see there they've got Brittany Wang set up on the first bracket and Leah Hodges on the second bracket. And as you pointed out, Manu, they've actually put 2 players on that left side now as potential pass or deflection options, and they do come to Brittany Wang, who does go straight, not using those players on the left. A pretty regulation save from Brodie Cochrane in goal. Interesting setup, but didn't really use it. It did look like the drag came a little to the right of the trapper where she intended it to be, so that can you know, change plans a little bit. But
absolutely. I think you find that the 2 people on the left-hand side basically ran to the same spot, so whether they were trying to do that option.
It's a good solid save there from Brodie, as she had Francesca Williamson diving in front of her trying to get the touch, but New Zealand Development still have the attack here through Jamie Eads. So it has been awarded a free hit there to Shanae Taylor just at the top of the attacking play there. She finds Brittany Wang. That's a great shot and a good save there from Brodie Cochrane. Just up at head height and gets her hand up to it well. That's Shanae Taylor being aggressive going forward, popping it in behind. And Claudia Hannam only able to get it as far as the next New Zealand Development player, but New Zealand Māori women's team will get possession back. Now, we're nearing in on the last minute of the quarter here, and the score is still 1-0 after the early goal to Brittany Wang for the New Zealand Development team as Maddie Harris turns over Tyler Goodsell-Matthews, and she drives to the right baseline. And that one is put away on the reverse stick there by yesterday's goal scorer, Francesca Williamson. She'll be happy with that as we see the One Foundation replay. Just the Māori woman unable to outlet the ball well. You see Grayson Keys here roll the ball to Tyler Goodsell-Matthews, who is picked by Maddie Harris. And this is a good baseline run and pass across the goal. Picks up a bounce there. And a good finish from Francesca Williamson puts the New Zealand Development women's team up 2-0. Yeah, how important do these little periods before and after the breaks become? You know, they will go into the halftime break full of confidence after, you know, probably a bit of a neither here nor there second quarter up until that moment. You know, that sort of confidence going to the halftime break will please Coach Lincoln Churchill, but will also, I assume, buoy the team coming out in the third quarter. As we just roll into the last period of play here. Before the break, the New Zealand Development team attempting to come forward. We'll get one last shot away. And on the hooter, saved there by Brodie Cochrane. Brodie's had a good game and goal so far, despite conceding 2 goals. And the New Zealand Development women will go into the sheds at halftime up 2-0 with goals to Francesca Williamson and Brittany Wang. They've played probably the better of the hockey, had more opportunities certainly from the set piece, and though they haven't executed a clean attacking penalty corner, they have had those opportunities. So the New Zealand Māori women are going to have some work to do if they're going to get themselves back in this game, and it's an important one after both teams came off a win yesterday and cementing their place towards Monday's final. Manu, what have you been most impressed with this New Zealand Development team?
I think with the New Zealand, obviously we've spoken about their fitness. They've got good fitness and they're actually moving the ball around the field quite nicely. Their combinations together, their midfield is working really hard, which with the New Zealand Maori team we need to actually try and squeeze that in and stop them from receiving the outlet ball. So it means that their screen maybe needs to change, which Tina could be talking about right now. So as we check out the replays, thanks to One Foundation from the first half here, you'll see
New Zealand development team have some penalty corner opportunities. This one is the first goal after a first save and a second save. Brittany Wang finds the ball on her back stick and doesn't miss with the follow-up, and that was the one to put them up 1-0. You can see here, this is an excellent little bit of play from Tash Brill, who finds Kelsey Kennedy coming forward on the attack, and this earns the New Zealand Maori women's team their first penalty corner after the goalkeeper there just rolls it back onto her teammate's foot, unfortunately, which did bring the first penalty corner for the New Zealand Maori women's team, which Claudia Hannum had a good drag flick, saved there on the left leg guard of the goalkeeper. And a little bit more action here. You can see Claudia Hannum playing at the back for the New Zealand Maori women's team. Just unable to really clear through our midfield. You know, Manu and I were speaking about them maybe just being a little bit far away, and it's a great shot there, saved by Brodie Cochrane, and picked up there. You just see the midfield potentially being a little bit too far away, and this is I believe the second goal where Grayson Keys Kumiroa, they just couldn't outlet well through Tyler there, and Maddie Harris picks the ball up and finds Francesca Williamson on the far side of the goal there to put the ball in. And that gives them their 2-0 lead. So you did talk briefly, Manu, about what you think Tina might be saying in the Māori women's huddle. If you were in there, what are you saying to the team?
Ooh, well, there'll be she'll be pretty calm, I think, in what she's saying, and if it was me in there, I'd just been explaining to them again, just running down our team plan of what we were wanting to do. Let's move the ball around, let's not force it up the middle, and let's use the width. I think, as we spoke about with the midfield, I think they need to come back a little bit more and help the outlet passes, but it's a lot more running. We'll find that the development side, they're actually working quite hard. They're becoming in packs. You got one doing the tackling and you got one sort of piping back a little bit to take the next tackle. So, and then they're quick off the mark. So our girls just need to shut them down a little bit, the wahine ma, and if they can do that and keep the ball and be patient, I think they could come back. Let's hope that they do, and Tina gives them a good rack up, I suppose. I would be in there giving them a rack up myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got plenty more hockey to play here. We've still got 2 quarters of hockey in the final game of the day for the inaugural Heritage Hockey Tournament, game 4 of the day between New Zealand Māori women and New Zealand Development women. It is only 2-0. You know, there's plenty of hockey to play and plenty of time for both teams to continue towards finishing this game with a win. You see there the New Zealand Māori women in nice and tight, probably getting messages across. Last little bit of confidence as they come out here, and we'll really need to dig in against this New Zealand development side. The New Zealand development team will be hoping to lean on their fitness through these last couple of quarters to get them over the line here. So it's going to be important to see the influences of the senior players in this Māori women's side and allowing them to play at the pace they want to. Keeping that game short as we see their midfield. We'll start with Ruby Meehan. We've got Marika Thomas. And it looks like Amy Mitchell in there in the midfield. So it's really important that they do a job on this New Zealand development midfield that have been so successful in this match. Looks like Jenny Wilson is back in goal for the New Zealand development side, and we can hear her already. Brodie Cochrane stays in goal for the New Zealand Māori women's side, and we are away with second half action between the New Zealand Māori women and the New Zealand development women. Yeah, and that's that midfield we talked about there for the New Zealand development, just being composed. They're not afraid to roll the ball back, receive the ball nice and close, and again, just ask questions of this New Zealand Māori women's midfield, as we do see a wee mistake out there by Rosie Bedford, perhaps under the pressure of Isabella Ambrosius. We see Ruby Meehan come forward with the ball and unable to link up with Isabella. I mean, you can just see how calm for their age, certainly this New Zealand development team midfield are in holding the ball, rolling the ball back out to their midfield, transferring the ball. As we see, and again, maybe through some pressure, another mistake at the back. That one forced by Oriwa Hepi there, who was up putting some pressure on Leah Hodges. will earn the New Zealand Māori women's team an attacking long corner out with Tiana Curry, who finds Tash Brill and Grayson Keys-Kumiro around the back.
Yeah, she probably could have just made the pass out wider, used the width a bit more, hold it out wide and then move the ball around. So, just those little options taking is they've got to think about to move forward. So let's hope that Tina's actually advised them about their option taking and bits and pieces.
Yeah, I think those attacking long corners are really hard. When you've got that compressed 25 yards of the field and potentially 20 of the players in that area of the field, it's really hard to be one pass and direct like Grayson was attempting to do there. So, you're right, you've got to get midfielders out on the sideline. You've got to get your attackers, or at least one of them, up on the baseline just to try and stretch a little bit further out of that field, or allow the players like Tash and Grayson just to come a little bit deeper and ask the opposition strikers to come up the field a little bit, just to create some genuine room, as we do see a turnover here through Isabella Ambrosius to Orewahepe. Strong contest in front of the goal, and bodies went down. Bronwyn Robbins electing to go with the penalty corner, just explaining that to Ginny Wilson in goal at the moment. And it's just the opportunity the New Zealand Māori women's team need. We talked about early in the quarter, or close to the breaks, as we see Tash Brill run up to be involved in the huddle there. It looks like Isabella Ambrosius will inject the ball for the Māori women's team.
You never underestimate the Māori woman. I think, they've got the strength to come back. Let's hope that they can put this goal in. But the defence for the development team's been very good as well. So we'll see what happens. Oh,
that'll work. That will work. It's a straight strike from Tiana Curry, then followed up on the second chance play there, and it will result in the goal, as we see the replay thanks to One Foundation. Tiana Curry there with the first shot, saved by Ginny Wilson initially, but unable to be put out of danger, and the New Zealand Māori women will find the goal that they needed early in this quarter, and it will be 2-1. Still advantage New Zealand development, but the confidence from that definitely with the New Zealand Māori women's team, as we see Tash Brill at the back on the ball. And she's linked in with Grayson Keys-Kumiro again. We just want to see this midfield close. She will do enough to get the free hit, but what are you seeing there, Manu?
As we talked about with the midfield, just giving them that 1-2 option as well, let's sort of give those options available for those girls coming forward. So
yeah, often as a outletting defender there, if you're having to carry the ball and you're looking for your teammates, you're not hoping for them to run away. You want them to get closer.
Yeah.
You want an easy option because, as a defender, you're not really wanting to be dribbled out of the back.
Yeah.
So I just would like to see, as Grayson did get the ball on the end of her stick there, just to maybe ask one of her defenders, her midfielders, to come in and help and make it a little easier for her.
Yeah, there's no harm in actually just stopping and running and propping and then giving the pass and then you passing back. Those are the options that you can take. So, it's good for us to say that on the sideline, as we say.
Yeah, as we did see a green card there against New Zealand Māori woman striker. She has gone to sit down for 2 minutes. So there will be a player down as the New Zealand development team do break forward here. Good challenge from Orewahepe and from Isabella Ambrosius. They find, I believe, goal scorer Amy Mitchell.
Yeah, there you go. See their impacts there. Someone should have been there to actually just behind you, prop, hold, but we all just ran away from her. So.
Yeah, how often in these 50-50 situations do we see more white tops than black tops in this game? They are really working hard to be around those areas of opportunity.
Absolutely. They're there and they're giving the opportunities for their players to come in and do... Whoops, now we've got an injury.
Firm whistle. It looks like, it may have been a small injury there to Nahui Amuru.
A little tap on the head.
Yeah.
Might make her a bit tougher and get her out there.
Yeah, she doesn't look like she wants to come off. A little roll of the roll of the neck, and she'll be good to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's attacking ball there with Marika Thomas. She just sees what's in front of her and yeah, a little forced error there from the New Zealand development team. We'll give a long corner. We spoke about the importance, Manu's. We can't quite see on the screen, but look at the lack of width from the New Zealand Maori women's team on this right-hand side. We can kind of see them eking out there now, but not certainly enough if they want to break through this New Zealand development defence.
Absolutely, open it up. And it's the first pass, you know, you're shutting all the options down. If you're going to keep dribbling, you really need to make sure that the pass is given straight away.
And that's come through to Maddie Harris, who has cleaned up well there.
Good girl.
Fantastic clean-up job there from Kelsey Kennedy, coming back and cover defence from right defender. A little bit fortuitous, the ball that did roll forward to Maddie Harris, but nonetheless an excellent bit of defensive work there from the New Zealand Māori women's team to probably take care of what would have been a one-on-one with the goalkeeper, Brodie Cochrane. As Tash Brill again opts to just go for brute force and nope, Alicia Unken not. Yeah, I think a couple of not on the marks there from Alicia Unken. Gone one each way, and we end up with the same free hit that it would have been to begin with. But the New Zealand development team do get possession back through Shanae Taylor. She's found Maddie Fleming out there, who was unable to link up with Emily Logan.
We just need the depth and also the pass back as well. You know, we're a little bit high on the defence, so maybe if we can get one of the Māori women team to come back and drop it back a little bit more so you can open up it on the width.
Mm. Yeah, we just want to. You really want to see some layers there, don't you? It's you know, easier to progress the ball forward if you've got players on multiple layers. And as Tashbril did opt to hit long again, and it did make its way through to the goal, but unfortunately it's possession back with the New Zealand development team through Brittany Wang. Strong challenge there by Isabella Ambrosius. Now, they both play their hockey down in Christchurch, Isabella and Brittany, so we'll have played a lot of rep hockey together, but certainly you know, on opposite sides of the field now, and we'll love getting into the niggle with each other a little bit, I'm sure.
We're all like that nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a wee unforced error from Leah Hodges. He just throws the ball too far in front of her defensive partner. And it will give possession to the New Zealand Māori women's team as we are about halfway through the third quarter here in the final match of the day. The New Zealand development women do lead 2-1 against the New Zealand Māori women, and we have possession with Tash Brill as she finds Grayson Keys Kumiroa. And that's that easy pass with some work out to Chelsea Heppy we speak about. I mean, she wins the free hit, but it's probably not a contest we need to go into there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If you received it on the back foot, she probably could have actually just given it straight up the line straight away. As soon as you trap it, you shut those options down. So those are things that Tina could be talking about in the next quarter.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's detail, isn't it? It's you know, just understanding what your next opportunity or option is, and understanding your best receive option to keep those options available. As we do see an intercept here from the New Zealand development team does put a bit of pressure defensively on the New Zealand Māori wahine. That ball will fall for Grayson Keys Kumiroa, fortunately. And Shanae Taylor will give away the free hit. Now, there's been a couple of half opportunities here for the New Zealand development women that, you know, if it does fall their way, this New Zealand Māori women's team are going to get caught short. So it's important that they cut down the counter-attack option, because it will become dangerous as this game progresses and we really see the speed and the fitness of this New Zealand development women's side.
Yeah, absolutely. Now they're just being a little bit patient. It's quite nice just to be patient, give it out to the... See, that's where our midfielder should have come through as well, so...
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, again, Brittany Wang on the ball there. Strong challenge from Marika Thomas. Could probably be more than just the free hit, and it will be a card there Actually, Tanahira Hudson, who probably got carded for taking the ball, not for the tackle, because the tackle was certainly Marika Thomas. But the New Zealand Māori women's team will be short one for the next 2 minutes. Tash Brill here with her experience will be happy to see a couple of seconds off the clock while they are short, though they are chasing the game, so we'll want to find a balance there.
She does find some nice balls going through, big long balls as well. If she doesn't have the short option, some of the Hail Mary passes have got to the players. Yeah,
absolutely, and she does have a skill in hitting the ball, and it's certainly not a lost skill in hockey. The ability to hit the ball, I think is as dangerous as ever. As I think less and less players are able to do it, well. So to see her with the confidence to be able to hit the ball is great, and it is difficult for a defender to read an upright hit, because you can, change the direction of them with disguise pretty well, and I know certainly Tash can. We just want to see her, if she is going for those long ones, that the options are there going forward, and our strikers do pick the ball up.
Yeah, that's just people reading who play as well. Where she's going to put it and running into those spaces. So, she's very good. She's got a very good hit for a little girl.
Yeah, and Tash Brill has the luxury to have played with, many of the best attacking hockey players New Zealand women have ever had to offer in her time as a black stick. And she will have players that can pick those up on the one-hand receive going forward. So the skill is very much there. She does make a good clean-up tackle and wins a free hit. And here's the go forward the New Zealand Māori women want. We can see a couple of players getting ahead of the ball. It's trapped well there by Nahui Muru.
They had the high player.
Yeah, saved well there by Jenny Wilson. Unfortunately, Nahui just couldn't find Kelsey Kennedy on the far post. But they will keep possession there going forward. It is Anahira Hudson who is back on the field there with the ball just outside the 25-yard line. And again, maybe just guilty of trying to force it straight through a defender. And this is the foot race the New Zealand Māori women's team don't want to get into. Unfortunately, can't bring it in, but I can tell you what, after a game yesterday in the sun, this Māori women's team won't want to be getting into that sprint race too often. We just see Tyler Goodsell-Matthews here with the ball, and happy to play the ball back to Claudia Hannum. Claudia Hannum, again, one of our experienced players here for this side, has played National Hockey League campaigns for North Harbour and has won a fair few national Māori hockey tournaments with Tamaki Makaurau. She holds the ball at the back there with Grayson Keys Kumiroa. It's a great tackle there, and they're off to the races. Again, not the game that this New Zealand Māori women's team want to get into. Yeah, it's a pretty tough tackle there, and leaves Alicia Anka only able to award the penalty stroke, as we see on the one replay here. Just got a little bit isolated at left half and unable to break infield. Beautiful 1-2 there, and an attempt to tackle probably just came in under the back stick. As we see Leah Hodges put one wide of the goal, and she'll be disappointed with that. Fortunate for the New Zealand Māori women's team, that keeps the game at 2-1. A big missed opportunity there by Leah Hodges for the New Zealand Development women's side. Brodie Cochrane not asked on to make a save. As we come into the last minute of the third quarter here, and we just see the New Zealand Māori woman trying to push forward, unable to pull it in up the front. Kelsey Kennedy but enterprising play nonetheless. And with a minute left here, I think this New Zealand Development Women's team will be happy to keep possession, play at the other end of the field, and get into a team talk with their coach Lincoln before the fourth quarter. New Zealand Maori women want to push and win their position. Unable to do so, Rosie Bedford just calm on the ball. Plays back to Leah Hodges, who opens up the other side of the field. Yeah, and a little free hit there to New Zealand Development Women.
I think they're putting a stamp on making sure that the ball's taken on the right spot, obviously with one of the development team going off.
Yeah, interesting call there. You'd think, and if she's done enough to earn the card, you might think that the New Zealand Māori woman may have got the free hit also, but
yes, correct.
Obviously not there, and I'm sure the Māori woman would rather the card and a player gone for 2 minutes than maybe the free hit, but it would have been a great attacking opportunity with what's probably 10 seconds left in this quarter. And we can see this game, the intensity really start to pick up in the last stages of this third quarter here, which means we're going to be in for an exciting finish to this last game of the day. And don't forget, both women's games yesterday went to penalty shootouts. So both teams have played a little bit of extra hockey as we just build into this last little attack. Unfortunately lost there with Isabella Ambrosius by the New Zealand Māori women's team. And remember, the clock did stop momentarily for the injury or potential injury to Nahue Amuru, and that will spell the end of the third quarter. Our score currently 2-1 to the New Zealand Development Women's side. 17 minutes of hockey left, and it's sure to be, as I just said, an exciting one, with the intensity really picking up in the last 2 minutes of that quarter there. Manu, what do you think we're going to see in this last quarter?
Well, I think Tina's done a good job of putting Tash on the as left half, so she's got the option of pushing forward and having Claudia push back. But those two moving forward themselves actually opens up options for the Māori women's team. I think Tash has put in a whole lot of work up the side there, and that's opened it up. There were a couple of 1-2 passes going through, and yeah, it's going to be exciting. I think the last quarter is going to be very exciting. I think the development side too is starting to look a little bit tired. So let's hope that the experience of the Māori woman can bring it back to all, and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting to see a slight positional change like that in Tash rolling out to left half, which you may have seen for the last 3 or 4 minutes of that quarter there. Just opened up a couple of little attacking options down the left-hand side now. Tash is a very exceptional player on both sides of the ball, so definitely has the skill set to go forward and help attack. But if you can see her link up with players going forward like Isabella Ambrosius and Orewa Hepi, they will be able to create a little bit of an attack there, which I think is what Tina will really be looking for. The other thing it does do is pull Claudia Hannon back into the centre defender role. She's a good distributor of the ball and does like to play periods of possession as opposed to playing long, so it probably leans into that as well. It'll be interesting to see here how the both sides come out. I think the first 3 or 4 minutes will be really important here, as it looks like Tash will come back to start at the back with Claudia. But
I think, as you say, with them two playing in their actual North Harbour team together, they know how each other plays, so it's a great option having them both there like that, so they work with each other, which is great.
Absolutely. And New Zealand Māori women will start the period with possession.
And with that, they've just opened them completely up.
Yeah, it was a good little play there, exploring up the right. We transfer back through Claudia and through Tash, and we find the other side of the field again, looking to do the same thing. That's it. We can isolate Francesca Williamson there. And this is Francesca Williamson coming forward with the ball. She has scored goals in both games. Yeah, Yeah, and does put a cross ball for her teammate. Probably not quite the execution she would have hoped for. She would have liked that one on the ground. But Brodie Cochrane in the New Zealand Maori women's goal did come out and put some pressure on, making it near impossible to get the touch they were after. New Zealand Maori women camped right back in their own corner.
There we go. There's the stretch, and if she can trap that and get that up.
Yeah, she's done well there, Kelsey Kennedy, to just turn on Brittany Wang. They'll remain in possession through Tyler Goodsell-Matthews. But you're right, that was a nice transfer of ball there from Tash Brill across the other side of the field and just opened up something, if not for a small mistrap there from Tyler Goodsell-Matthews, I think would have had an opportunity to go forward. You can just see Tash here, maybe put the long hit away. Maybe something that's come from Tina and opting to look a little more for her teammates. As we see the New Zealand Māori women team just win a free hit there. Brittany Wang with the 3D skill not able to bring it under control, and they will retain possession moving into the attacking third there with a sideline hit. Let's have a look. You can't see it on screen, but Tash Brill set right over to the left here, as well as their left half. Do expect through Claudia Hannum a big shift here to isolate the outside striker. If they can get the ball moving quickly. I like the little present in the midfield there by Isabella Ambrosius. Didn't get the ball, but just narrowed up the development team defenders. Coach Lincoln Churchill very vocal in the dugout there about the taking the ball on the mark rule that's been enforced so far in the game, and maybe a person of Tash Brill's experience maybe just gets an extra yard or two allowance than some of these other players. We see a good bit of pressure there from Anahita Hudson on the New Zealand development midfielder. She's a talented player, Anahita, and has spent a long time in this New Zealand Māori setup. And that's Orewa Hepi up there leading from the front, as she has done for both games, really putting pressure on these New Zealand development defenders, and she has earned the New Zealand Māori Wahine team the first attacking penalty corner of the fourth quarter. We spoke about the importance of these first 3 or 4 minutes in the quarter, and this may be the opportunity for them to equalise.
Absolutely. Let's think about what they... Well, I mean, yeah. I hope that they... the injectors actually looks very good from the screen.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It looks like we've got Claudia set up on 1 and Kelsey Kennedy on 2. Yeah, I think she was looking for a little deceptive sweep it there through to the right post. Didn't quite get through and did strike the foot of the New Zealand development first runner, but enough to earn another penalty corner as umpire Bronwyn Robbins asked them to get the show on the road a little quicker. And we don't have Tash Brill up on the bracket there. She has just pulled out to avoid the counter-attack, which is probably smart the way we've seen this New Zealand development team break out.
Nice,
yeah.
nice choice of for the corner there, nice and soft towards the keeper, and just having someone on board just to take the bounce off. Whoa, here we go.
Yeah, Brittany Wang, a pretty fiery player there, but Tash Brill probably not the one to pick a fight with on this field. Yeah, there's certainly other targets you might go for first, and Tash isn't that one. Probably just frustrated with the bit of a elbow or shoulder in the ribs she got as she was dribbling down the field there, Brittany Wang. But the New Zealand development team do break forward through and have found their baseline player. That's well defended by Tash as she cleans up on the baseline. The New Zealand development women will keep the attacking possession. Let's see if they can create their opportunity. Yeah, it was a An interesting little crash ball into the circle there. It kind of eluded everyone multiple times, and nobody really able to either clear the ball or get the shot on goal they were after, as Kelsey Kennedy does clean up there for the New Zealand Maori women's team. But you can see there, Manu, a sea of white singlets around her.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Really difficult for her to do anything on the ball there with 3 players around her. And that's kind of been testament to what's happened in the match today. This New Zealand Development women's team have swarmed well. They've played in packs and really hunted the ball down, and had 1 and 2 and 3 players there to affect the turnovers more often than not, as we do see another turnover through Leah Hodges.
Oh, fiddled with the ball after the free hit.
Yeah, just probably a little disappointed that she made the great tackle and then ran herself into a tackle and lost possession. Just played with the ball after the whistle was blown, and the New Zealand women look to push forward here, and Maori women look to push forward and potentially find an equalising opportunity. Remember, the development women will be down 1 player for the next 2 minutes. And with 10 minutes left in the game, the score is 2-1 to the New Zealand Development women. New Zealand Maori women searching for an equaliser here, with Tash Brill advancing the ball on the left-hand side of the field. But a great tap tackle there. She links up with Maddie Harris. Here, it's
nice
a great tackle by Uriwa Hepi. I've talked about how influential she's been now on both sides of the ball, making tackles and creating attacking opportunities. She's playing back into the midfield a little bit here now, which will be part of helping her team progress the ball forward as it falls down to Claudia Hannam at the back. Marika Thomas comes forward with the ball for the New Zealand Maori Wahine team. And that's picked off again by Brittany Wang, who's had a great game alongside Francesca Williamson. The little one-on-one opportunity here with Claudia Hannam. Just a little bit too far ahead of Brittany Wang there as Chelsea Hepi and Tash Brill do chase down a defensive effort there. Yeah, Claudia Hannam happy to take the extra 5 yards there.
Yeah, absolutely.
After the game's been so stringent on taking the ball on the spot. You look like she'll take any yard she can get there, as Tash Brill looks to transfer the ball across and find Kelsey Kennedy on the right-hand side of the field. She's got eyes up and can see her players in front of her. It has fallen to Nahui Amuru, which is fortuitous, but there is an opportunity here. But well defended and well out by the New Zealand Development women, who have kept it in.
Yes.
She's looking at the circle. Claudia Hannam dangles a stick in there, but it is enough to disrupt the play. It's probably the one time, Manu, we've seen the New Zealand Development women not with multiple players up and around the ball.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think they're all rushed back on defence. And
yeah, there's an unforced error there from Tiana Curry. Will put the New Zealand Māori Wahine under a bit of pressure. I think what I did notice is while that play was happening, that breakout, Brittany Wang actually went off with a small injury, and Hayley Cox has come on the field for the New Zealand Development women. That's Hayley Cox on the ball there now and has won her team a attacking penalty corner. So probably the reason they didn't have numbers in that previous attack is it looks like Brittany Wang has gone off with a bit of a muscle complaint, hopefully just cramp. But Hayley Cox has come on the field and instantly made an impact there, earning a attacking penalty corner.
Well, I'd be going off too after all the running she's been doing on the field, mate. Yeah, sure. I hope that it's only cramp, nothing else. So let's hope that they can look after it for her.
Yeah, Shanae Taylor here brings the ball down to inject for the New Zealand Development women's side. They set up with Eva Zylstra and Leah Hodges at the bracket. And it goes to nobody. Yeah, real communication breakdown there from the New Zealand Development women's side. A few of the Māori women will probably be saying another impressive attack here by the New Zealand Development women. And some impressive skills. Cleaned up briefly by Tiana Curry, but in comes Madeline Fleming, who can't get past Chelsea Heppy. Chelsea finds Leah Arthur-Worsop, who has played the ball forward to Isabella Ambrosius. Isabella looking down Main Street and will earn the free hit from a little mistrap there from Leah Hodges. Isabella Ambrosius just surveying the edge of the circle there. Goes through but can't find its intended target. Just looked like all of the New Zealand Maori women were kind of bunched in front of the goal there, not giving an extra height or an extra width in the circle for that ball to come through. As we go into the last 5 minutes of the match, New Zealand Maori women looking to turn some screws on and create an extra opportunity here. They are searching for an equaliser at the moment, and that pass won't go to stick and will be New Zealand Development Women's ball. Looks like Tina Baukake has made the decision here to pull her goalkeeper off the field. Looks like Tash Brill has come on. I'm hoping that it doesn't pull Brody off and add Tash on as a defender. I hope they have pushed. It does look like Claudia Hannum has moved her way up the field considerably. I would say by the looks of things here, they're content playing with 3 defenders, no goalkeeper, which will mean an extra midfielder and an extra striker. And we can already see the height up there with the Maori Wahine. They will have to be careful. And that's a great little bit of skill there. And she turns Shanae Taylor around. And that's Marika Thomas, just unable to get through the second defender there. But they have got the ball back. No. But again, just forcing that pass. I think we've been pleading for them all game to find some width and move the ball out of those areas of congestion, and maybe just a little bit guilty there of succumbing to the scoreboard pressure and trying to force things. There are still 4 minutes on the clock. We only need 10 seconds to score the goal if you do it right. But you can't succumb to the pressure too early. Though they need to find the equaliser, it won't be through desperate play. It'll be through built-up play, as the New Zealand Māori Wahine will retain possession here through Tash Brill. It has made its way through to a teammate. And they've got the free hit going forward. We want to see a bit of...
Yeah, let's hope that they make the right options of going not that far back, but back and around, pulling it out of congestion, as you say.
That's an unforced error there, and the New Zealand Development women will work their way up the field. I can see Brittany Wang's come back on, so fortunately not a major injury.
She just needed some water, bro.
Yeah, I would have been going for some lollies. Yeah, Francesca Williamson just unable to get her feet out of the way there on the receive. Fortunate for the New Zealand Māori women's team, because she had beaten the defender.
Here goes Tash again. She's having a little kōrero with the pink ladies.
Yeah.
So.
Just asking her how her day was, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Oh, great ball.
It's a good ball up the middle from Tash, but just unable to be brought under control there by Nahui Amuru. Here we see Orewa Hepi go and put some pressure on.
Oh, hard luck.
And just the small little mistake there lets the New Zealand development team out of their own end. Closing in on 2 minutes now. Score still 2-1 to the New Zealand development women's side. Tyler Goodsell-Matthews with possession there. They will win a free hit in the middle of the field. Tash Brill on the ball. Looking to use some width. They move it back to Tash. Tash surveying her options going forward, and I like the wide pass there to open up the baseline. It's a great circle entry. just unable to link up with her teammate. But Tash again with a tackle.
Just a foot will do.
Claudia Hannum on the edge of the circle. We use Nahui Muru on the baseline there. Unfortunately, they're unable to get that ball going at the goal. There's a free hit awarded to the New Zealand development team, who, with a minute left on the clock, Leah Hodges will bring the ball back up.
We need Tina on the side there yelling at the girls to squeeze in if they can to get the ball.
This may be the last little bit of opportunity here for the New Zealand Maori Wahine team. Want to see them use both sides of the field. A good little bit of skill there. But an error on the carry. It's Brittany Wang in the wars again. She's been everywhere today. She's been immense. I've been really impressed with the way she's played the game. I'd say they'll be pretty content just to hold the ball there in these last dying moments of the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that will probably be it, I would say. We're closing in on the last few seconds of the game. And that will wrap up the game, the final game for the day of day 2 between the New Zealand Development Women and the New Zealand Maori Wahine. Final score 2-1 to the New Zealand Development Women. It was a fast game and it was as close as we expected, Manu. What impressed you most about the New Zealand Development Women?
Oh, I just think the skills that they have and the speed. It's great to see that they're actually, the speed is there, and the combinations that they have. As I spoke through the game, they work in teams. It's not an individual game, obviously, but just working together as a team. They're all from all over New Zealand, so it's great to see that they are developing into a good little team.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to see player development pathways, especially through Hockey New Zealand and the work our regional development managers are doing there, especially with their coach Lincoln Churchill. We'll be pleased to have them with 2 wins through 2 games, an outright win and a shootout win. The Tina Balkake, she'll be straight back into the sheds with the girls and making sure that they're back on focus for tomorrow. They'll have a big game tomorrow against the New Zealand Pacifica women's side, with games really playing a big part on who makes Monday's finals. Now, it's been a cracking day here at Colmar in Papatoetoe, Auckland, in the inaugural Heritage Hockey Tournament. That is the final game for the day. We will see you back here again tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, man.